Welcome, everyone, to the fierce compassion of the divine feminine, entering the era of the Empress, where women across the globe are discovering how to embody the Empress by living a life of compassion, character, courage, and grace. I'm your host, Kathy Forrest, founder of Celestial Forest Institute, and I am so excited to be here with my dear friend, Maya. Say it for me.
Zacharow. Yes, me
Zacharow.
too, Kathy. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, goodness. I knew I would butcher it if I tried to say it myself. So Maya is a former professional wetland scientist and has worked in environmental licensing and as a permitting consultant for over 15 years. But she has since left her corporate environment career behind to help clients focus on fostering self-transformation through deeper connection to our planet by the creation of online summits, online courses, and sister circles. She's a native of Odessa, Ukraine, but now, for a temporary time, resides in Gainesville, Florida. And I am so excited, Maya, to talk about what your topic, which is Lumina Natura, the light of nature within. So, and this is deeper than it sounds on the surface. Can you speak to the fierce compassion of the divine feminine and Lumina Natura, the light of nature within oneself?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say, I was so excited when I read about the Summit Cafe. It's just amazing how you put the words together and the images. It resonated with me deeply. So yeah, the fierce compassion of the divine feminine, to me, is best seen in nature and for all her inhabitants. Us, plants, animals. She, of course, she cherishes us, she nurtures us, she gives us air to breathe, water to drink, she feeds us, she clothes us, and we are within her. We are one with her. And it is my belief that all of us came onto this planet. We have incarnated here onto this planet to learn from her, to learn her love, her care for others, her sensuality, her abundance, her unparalleled generosity. And we learn from her. It's because we are within her. We are part of her. We are encased in her body like the mother's womb. And our hearts, like when they're on the high vibrational coherent level, our heart's electromagnetic field is resonating with exactly the same frequency as that of the Earth's. It's 0.1 hertz to be exact. So yeah, so this is what I learned from Dr. McCready through heart methods. They're doing research on that. This is not philosophy. So when two vibrations are the same frequency, they can transfer information between each other. And when in the coherent state, our hearts and brains are vibrating at the same frequency as the Earth. So we can transfer information and energy between the fields of the Earth. And it is up to us to align with her frequency and raise our vibrations so we can learn all that she is. So we can embody her qualities and magnify these energies, because I don't know, something tells me they're very much wanted and needed and might be scarce in the galaxy. And these are the energies which are desperately needed and wanted in the universe. And even if I'm wrong, this is what we came here for anyway. Maybe these are the energies and qualities that we lack, that we must foster within ourselves. So as I mentioned, her qualities are love, generosity, abundance, sensuality, the nurturing, are more of the feminine qualities. And it seems it's more of a woman's responsibility to magnify and embody these qualities. And it could be achieved when we're connected to her. Of course, I'll say a lot of men that I have met also have these qualities, and they are still here to also learn and foster these feminine qualities within themselves. So when I was writing an email to everyone, I was calling everyone the men and the women to please tune in. It's not just a women's issue. So to me, this is Lumina Natura. This is the light of nature within. It is almost like she gives us a part of herself, and as if we have a bit of her soul shining through us. And I see like, I see this Lumina Natura, the light of nature or inner light, this fierce compassion of the divine feminine in women across the globe. Women who sacrifice their life, their freedom, their bodies for a different, better, and brighter future for their children and their children's children, basically for the next generations. And I will just want to give a fair warning here, because the topics I want to discuss are adult topics that I don't know, cursing is always on the table. I might be talking about sexual violence. So if you have children, please put your headphones on. So I'm talking about, I see this Lumina Natura and this, fierce compassion of the divine feminine in women in Afghanistan. I mean, they have been stripped away from their remaining freedoms when Taliban took over the whole country just this past summer. They cannot forget about wearing what they want to wear. It's not even a niqab to me. It's just, they're wearing like a shower curtain, and God forbid they show any part of their body, like a little hand sticking out. They're severely beaten, punished for it. And they have had enough courage to come out in the streets and protest. I just haven't seen that much support from their male partners in that part of the world. I want to talk about the Ukrainian women who are losing their lives and livelihoods, and their husbands and sons defending the country, and who there's a lot of reports of them being like gang raped by the invading Russian soldiers. I want to talk about the Russian women too, who are losing their husbands and sons fighting someone else's war. And those women who have spoke out and joined the protests against the regime are also being severely punished. Still in detention, paying a very high price. The women of Saudi Arabia who risk their lives and freedom just to earn the right to drive, or for others to learn to have the ability to drive. Of course, I want to talk about the women of Iran who are fiercely protesting the death of their sister, Mahsa Amini, who was arrested and detained because she didn't wear a hijab properly by the morality police. It was September 16, 2022, and she was only 22 years old, and she died in custody. So all the Iranian women, all the protests have sparked by her death. And I see these courageous women who are change makers, the empresses who speak up in the face of injustice no matter the consequences. Because I face it, sexual violence and torture has been used against women purposely and consistently for generations. In most, if not all cases where war or any societal change even came as a result. So let that sink in. And we, as modern women, are enjoying the privileges we have today because women of the past have paid for them with their bodies. I have the privilege to vote in this country because there are women who chose to speak up and protest to get that privilege from me. And many have paid for that privilege, again, with their bodies through rape and torture. I think The Suffragettes was the movie, which I have not seen because I don't have the energetic capacity to see it yet. It will stay with me for a long time, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I know sexual violence is being used against Iranian protesters and the regime critics, not even those who came out on the street. There's a really, CNN did a very intense, in-depth coverage reports of the horrific accounts and that have been corroborated of the detainees being sexually assaulted and tortured in custody, or even the woman who criticized the regime. She was just, I don't know, on some kind of social platform that they went to her house, took her. And then this is difficult also, but I'll say she was brought in the hospital by 5 men who were dressed in plain clothes. They were not in the military attire. And this was then reported by the 4 out of 5 medics who saw her. These men never left her side. They were always present during examinations. She was hemorrhaging from her rectum. She was shaking, her head was shaven. They never saw her family. Her family never saw her. They were making the medical team write the report that she had gastroenterological issues. They wanted them to change the report, but then 4 of the 5 medics spoke out about it afterwards, after they took her away by some back road out of the hospital. Nobody knows where she is. These are just small stories. Now, there's, small number of stories. There's a lot of stories also CNN covered that men who have supported the women are also being held in detention and they're also being raped. So I don't want to leave them out or make it, easier. There's also recently the Ukrainian First Lady, Alyona Zelenska, talked about sexual violence being used against Ukrainian women as a war tactic. And there's a lot of stories like that coming out of Ukraine. I know, like the story of Natasha, she doesn't give her full name, just saying the Russian soldiers burst into her house, shot her husband right away. She has kids. They, took her to a separate house, told her to be quiet, not say anything, not resist. And then, of course, they gang raped her there. She had to come back to the house, put on the best face for the kids and take care of them, because they said, are you ready to, seeing your children get hurt, being tortured, being, all the same things that are done to you be done to them. And this is what women do. And this is what they have done in the past, that, for unfortunately for generations. So in many cases now in our polite society, when a woman speaks out too against any cause she believes in strongly, she's threatened by physical sexual violence. I've seen it over and over again. We've all seen it. A woman who, who exposes any unfairness in society is punished severely. It's probably, I don't know, an extreme loud and violent minority, I hope, but like we've seen it. We've seen Megyn Kelly, the Fox News anchors, who basically all she did was ask uncomfortable questions of of Donald Trump when he was running for president. I've heard it now recently on the news also, like NPR was talking about a librarian who just spoke out against book banning in Texas libraries. She has received violent sexual threats. This is a huge societal ill which needs to be cured. It is not normal. It is not okay.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that is, I can't even tell you, my body is just quaking and chilling as I listen to your stories. And yes, these are the stories we kind of brush under the rug. We don't talk about, we don't like to look at or listen to because they're uncomfortable. But this is our current reality, and it is obviously not okay. And in the face of that, how do we envision the world that we want?
Oh, yes. Well, it's first I want to say how important it is, like visioning and dreaming. And I just say that I think many, if not all, good things in my life came to me as a result of dreaming up something better for myself. Mm-hmm. And, we're starting with ourselves and putting it out into the collective in the end. So it comes many times from the things I don't want, or having an experience of something I don't want to see. I don't want to see women being tortured and raped, disregarded, mistreated to bring about any societal change. And the men who are brave enough to stand with them. I don't want that to be done to them. So things that I do want, I want my children, I want my daughter to wear or not wear whatever it is that she wants, and her character, and not being judged by it. Mm-hmm. I want her to have a full autonomy of her body. Childbirth, if she wants to, abortion, if she needs or wants it, miscarriage. I want miscarriage is different, but this is it's her body, and I want her to choose to have children or not to have children. And again, I don't want her to be criticized for any of those choices. And I want the world where my son is never have to be taken to fight somebody else's war. I want us to fight, or rather really to open our hearts to nature's rights and animals' rights. And I wish for each of them, for my kids, for all of our kids, to live in a state of unlimited freedom and wild self-expression. I want to live and thrive in a society where we're treating every human being on our planet like the planet is treating us. Like, I'm not putting myself out of the cycle of life. I'm not that naive. Like, I know ecology, but still, our planet really cherishes all of us and gives us the same, whether, you know, I'm a sinner or a saint. And there's some positive stories also coming out of Ukraine, which my friends tell me, it's specifically in Odessa, Ukraine, because there's no electricity in many places and people go without electricity for up to a week, you know. But people who do have it, because it's spotty, invite others to warm up, to cook, to charge up their electronics. There's more time spent with families, you know, without electronic devices because of lack of light, and they're not on social nets. There's human decency and care for one another. They said it went up like just tenfold. And drivers are very careful and slow on the roads, and they give the right to pedestrians, and they watch for them carefully because it's dark, you know, they don't have a lot of light. People basically cherish and care for their fellow neighbors. This is the world that, you know, I want to live in. So also I wanted to say about the Iranian Revolution, it's about the hierarchy or lack thereof. And it's interesting, when the whole thing started in September, I was paying attention, and the people who were interviewed on the radio, all of the men, by the way, said that this was never going to last long. It's just a very short uprising. It's going to be quenched because there was no leader or defined plan of action. Mm-hmm. And it made me think how we're used to this, you know, this male order, the hierarchy, the structure, in order to function or achieve anything. And the Iranian Revolution is a feminine-led movement with very courageous men, like I said, who are joining their sisters in protest. And it doesn't have a figurehead to spear the movement. In fact, I liked it in that particular way, because usually when you have a leader, or, you know, who's identified, they're forcefully removed, you know, and killed to kill the movement also, or they're idealized for decades or centuries. So I love that there is no one in charge of the movement, that it's a feminine collective being fed off with oppression. Mm-hmm. And we don't need like this hierarchy, a very masculine concept, in order to free ourselves from the oppressive regime. At least I hope so. Mm-hmm. And this is the attribute of the feminine, is the ability to create, linking up from one's own local consciousness to the collective one. So there is no need from a top-down imposed system for the societal developments. Really, we need to dream up goals dazzling and grand and huge. We need to articulate our goals for ourselves, our families, our countries, our planet, so lovely and vibrant that they will lift us out of our divisiveness and our pettiness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The co-creation and collaboration is needed instead of this hierarchical mechanistic law. Mm-hmm. I want the collective co-rising. Talked about it in more detail before, I'm sure, but basically when I'm talking about co-rising, I mean, you know, together, our co-rising, human, animal, our planets, ours and our planets co-rising, and that all life in humans, not just humans, being cherished. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want, this is what I want to read this excerpt from Arkan Lishwala's book, The Black Jaguar, The Time of the Black Jaguar. It's called like The Eager Dancer. So I just want to share it with everyone, because these are the times that were prophesized by many Indigenous people. So I think, and these are the times that we find ourselves in. So give me a second, I'll read it. So in the beginning, there was only a point of light. This point of light fused feminine and masculine energies and exploded, generating 7 stars. I think they're the Pleiades, but it doesn't say that in the book. At once.
I said me too.
All right. All at once, these 7 stars also fused their masculine and feminine energies and exploded, generating the 13 creators of the world, who manifested the existence of all things through their singing and dancing. The 13th conducting the dance was the one who maintained his duality intact within herself, the eagle dancer. To her left were 6 female dancers, and to his right were 6 male dancers. They formed a circle, standing at the top of the open space of nothingness, each of them carrying a staff with which they banged on the floor of nothingness, calling it to become something. The first thing to appear before them was a tree that was also an animal. While the dancers of creation continued with their movements and songs, fruits began to appear on the branches of the tree, which are now all the animal species and all the plants that reside on the earth. One by one, they detached from the tree and found their place on the terrestrial space that the dancers had called to solidify itself from nothingness. This was the way the world and its inhabitants were created. At the end, the dancers who sang the creation of the world decided to leave a species on earth that had qualities similar to those of themselves. They created women and men and left them with the mission to care for the rest of creation through the power of their heart and the capacity to produce refined vibrations. The first humans were born to be guardians of the memory of the original design of life, guardians of the memory that resides in the song and dance of creation. Keeping this memory alive in their heart and singing it back to all that lives became their gift, their mission, and the foundation of a beautiful way of life. Over time, the giant and powerful humans grew in numbers, enjoying the fruits of their intelligence and their creative capacities. They felt they kept life in balance and made beautiful things with what the earth gave them. Some kept living in simple tribal ways, while others developed great civilizations that became containers of universal wisdom. When they were at the peak of their power, darkness showed up in the souls of many, and for the first time, humans knew emotions like jealousy, envy, and greed. Those trying to prove to be the most powerful and beautiful among the rest competed with each other, and in doing so, ended up wounded. A strange kind of pain related to the loss of unity with others, which came together with the loss of oneness, gave birth to fear. Defensive and aggressive behaviors born from that fear made them close their hearts. Disconnected from the radiant light of their spirits, they kept going farther away from their original selves. With time, they forgot their origin and the way the eagle dancer encouraged them to sing in the beginning, becoming one. Those who had grown a hole in their souls had a craving for becoming the one, ignoring that the one is really the one heart that is born from cooperating with others. The original brotherhood of the humans got lost. Some nations developed strong ethnic identities that were used for stating that they were not like the rest, forbidding the young ones to marry with an outsider. When humans became divided, the rest of the creation lost the contributions of its caretaker. Their violence made them hurt not only each other, but the earth as well. The balance of life became debilitated to the extent that the tree of life became ill and became to die. Its withered branches fell upon the earth, generating earthquakes, volcanic explosions, and flooding. This violent way of life continued until one day when some of them decided to climb at the top of the mountain to cry for help. They were the ones who, listening to the beating of their own frightened hearts, remembered the step of the dancers of the beginning, banging and banging, calling life. On the mountain, their vision was healed, and they remembered themselves, being able to feel their hearts again. When they came down, they knew what to do. The dance and song of the beginning were once again offered to the tree of life, which was now a dying tree. Falling branches were good for making drums that made the heartbeat of the tree of life resonate throughout the earth. The branches were also good for lighting the sacred fire that showed them the spirit of the tree. In front of this tree, they danced to the rhythm of the drum day and night, elevating their vibration higher and higher in alignment with the beginning of the origins of all things. Remembering and healing themselves, they were able to reestablish the health and equilibrium on earth. So, of course, we are the creative force of nature. We are them. At the end, it says at the end, as I read, the dancers who sang the song of creation of the world into being, decided to leave a species on Earth that had qualities similar to themselves. They created women and men, left them with the mission to care for the rest of creation through the power of their hearts and their capacity to produce refined vibrations. This is us. We need to produce refined vibrations to remember and restore original design of life.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. So how do we do that? How do we produce those refined vibrations? I have my own ideas. I want to hear what you have.
Yeah, well, the short answer is through fostering inner relationship with the feminine.
Yeah.
I mean, when you created the sun, you called on embodying our sacred feminine through the archetype of the Empress. So we as women, we know we're initiated through our bodies. Menstruation, pregnancy, abortion, miscarriage, childbirth, menopause are the main ways. Of course, there are others, illness and whatnot. There are many, but these are huge that I mentioned in huge initiations. So, but I will actually, I'll give you this case study, I call it, like, because I'm doing divinations now that Malidoma Samay, it's like an 5-element cowrie shell divinations according to the African tradition. So I have a client and I'm divining for her. And she's telling me that we're having a coaching session, like following the divination. She's telling me she has a crush on a man and she's contemplating what to say to him when she sees him in the next class, because they share some classes together, and how to approach him. And I mean, she's spoken to him prior, and she usually strikes up the conversations. And as she's talking, like, it struck me. First of all, I also want to preface it by, oh my God, I lived in the masculine for so long, you know, and I can give a whole other interview on that. But yeah, so what struck me is that we, especially as Western women, and I'm talking about Western women, not just geographically, I mean, it's spread a lot around the globe, that we have been taught to function in the masculine paradigm and a frame of mind. And generally, we as women, we have mastered this skill, this masculine part of ourselves, A+.
Right.
Because our society, this is what's being rewarded and valued, and this is what's being modeled, and this is what's being taught to us growing up. So going back to the divination, I'm telling her, like, as I'm reading, I was like, why are you dipping into your masculine while dealing with the male? I said, let him initiate, let him approach you, let him think what to say to you and how to engage you. What an energy drain for a feminine, for the feminine to initiate, especially with dealing with the men. I'm not talking about, you know, when we initiate our own projects, just separate them. So we as women have to have this feminine building practice, especially in this society, in the Western world, where masculine values are overemphasized, overrespected, and overvalued. Yeah, I said that good. I repeat. So I know that, like, I know this intimately well, because there's a false sense of control when you initiate, even a false sense of safety. So we as women need to focus on ourselves, go within to create and grow this inner feminine, our inner feminine. When that force, that energy, that Shakti, yin power, is alive and awake, he will come to you. He will initiate. You just receive. And by the way, receive only when you want to, because meaning, is he being respectful? Is he being polite? If so, man, you can give him some of your precious attention. Is he entertaining you in the conversation further? Maybe even making you laugh? Great, keep talking. Otherwise, no, because you don't have to give your attention and energy away. I've learned this again, like myself, for so many years. You don't own your attention. You don't owe your attention and energy to anybody, to anyone who just decides to strike up a conversation with you. So it is through fostering this inner relationship with the feminine that these things become clear to us as women, because we really have to teach ourselves.
Yeah, because there's nobody out there teaching us. We're going to have to raise ourselves back up. Oh my goodness, Maya, I can always count on you to say what needs to be said. Oh my Lord. So I want you to talk to us, because I took a sneak peek at your free gift. And it looks to me now, after hearing our conversation, that all of those videos speak into everything you've been talking about.
Yes. It it's like a wealth, it's like a bundle of wonderful interviews with exceptional people, many of them women, Claire DeWine included, and
And the
the
heart math
great,
people, I saw that in there too. So all of
yeah, I think you're probably there. It's
Mhm.
just it's just for inspiration. Just connect, and connect and listen. This is I don't normally like make them all available in public, but for I think it's time, and this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what I'm
So
doing.
how do we foster? Because I think this is the question for every woman out there. We kind of already know that something's broken. How do we foster that relationship with the divine feminine?
Well, the relationship with the divine feminine, it's an inside job. It's an inner practice, and of course, there's like an infinite number of ways, but really like know yourself. It's a lot of people say, well, build a shrine to the goddess. That's a great idea. Some it could be a meditative practice, and you can, but also know what's easy and inspiring and what drives you. Like building a shrine, for me, I can build a shrine for a day or so. I'll dismantle it because it's I can't upkeep it, and I don't know how to make a cozy space. So it's feel in. I can go for a walk in nature. This is my time. I can build a shrine. I can put the flowers together for Mother Isis, Mother Air, Mother Mary, or the earth, just because this is your practice. But really, with time, more and more, I consider myself, my body, as a shrine that I offer to the goddess, to Mother Earth, to the divine when I
I love
dance.
that.
So I have a dancing practice as a prayer, as an offering to the goddess, and this is my feminine way to worship. I think we were misled by society how to worship the divine. And this idea of wearing certain clothes to cover up and reciting specific words written by some higher unknown authority that I have never appealed to me. Like I have tried that. And I don't want to weaken the prayer, the religious prayer, because if it works for you, you're the lucky one. Do it. Don't change anything. But really, to me, it just feels the divine is just fed up. It is sick of hearing the same words. It's just so tired of seeing the same movements, the same clothing in prayer. When you kneel or stand down and say like specific words and phrases, I think many religions not all do this. The divinities starve for your authentic self-expression, your creativity, your life force flowing through your divine instrument body. So let the life flow through you as a woman. Dance, sing if you want, adorn yourself in what's beautiful to you, the clothes, the jewelry, anoint yourself with some aromatic oils or nothing at all. Dance in the nude. Close your eyes so you don't judge yourself. Just connect with this divine force and make it a practice. It is not like today I feel like doing it and tomorrow I'll skip about a week, 2 or 4. It's a practice. You might have some connection, you can feel it maybe, but this is it. This is how we raise our vibrations. And I read the story just to tell us that we do need to raise our vibrations to connect with the earth. This is what we came here for. And also it talks about the original creations. Something came out of nothing because they were persistent. They were banging with the staff into nothingness and calling it to become something. So this is us. This is what we have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. When you make an appointment with heaven, heaven comes. And
Right.
so just keep at it. Yeah. Any spiritual practice that I've ever engaged in doesn't always, the bells and whistles don't really start happening till I'm at it for at least a week.
Right.
So yes, do it and keep doing it. Oh, Maya, thank you. I cannot tell you. this is what she had in mind when she told me the name of this summit. For sure. For sure. I can't tell you how appreciative I am that you choose, always choose, to speak what needs to be spoken. So I heard you say that you coach people. If people want to connect with you to get some of this juiciness, how do they do that?
Oh, thank you, Kathy, for putting together the summit, for asking me these questions. It definitely, I was so busy. I'll just say it out there. I was so busy. I was like, this, like, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the summit. And this
Yeah.
picture of a lion is like, just needed, so needed. So thank you for doing the work all your life and making it happen over and over. But how do people get in touch with me? Through my website, it's sisterswellspring.com. I have a work with me page, and you can book an appointment just to talk about divination and the coaching that comes through that. So yeah, that is the easiest way to connect.
Beautiful. Well, I have that posted on your page, and I invite all of our listeners to connect with you and listen to your wisdom, because what flows through you when you open your mouth, mm, divine, sacred. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
for being with us today.